What's up, everybody? So, first time doing this basically. Going to kind of open the doors to the back end side of the programming here. I'm excited about it in the sense that I've always wanted to give you guys more knowledge, more education, more of the back end side as to why it is you do what you do. And like I, kind of mentioned prior, I'm assuming the people watching this are people that actually, kind of enjoy this and they like getting deeper and deeper into the grittier side. Working on everything I'm about to go over. And I plan on picking, give or take two or three of these a week if possible, see if it's sustainable, and putting these on YouTube for you guys to kind of hopefully start paying attention to. So I will preface this with a couple of things. One, these videos are probably going to range in time. It really just depends on how much of a rabbit hole I go down in terms of what we're talking about. Two, I'm going to give you all ends. I'm not going to, I'm going to uncover all stones here. So I'm going to give you guys my thought process, why things are where they are, repetition counts, time of recoveries, placement of everything, just as much as I can. I don't have a specific order I'm going to go through. This workout particularly is obviously 2 days in one, so it might be a little bit longer here. But the warm up, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. I think there might be some time in the future where we might want to divulge in that depending on what's going on. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But this is a back or an interval day. So you guys at this point hopefully are well aware that anytime we have interval day, it is an option. All right. So you guys are always, it'll always be paired with something. It is not on purpose. Like the last couple interval days have been with arms. That's not on purpose. Arms tend to fall on interval day. Because arms is one of the tougher muscle groups to program an entire day on. Like there's only so much your arms can do. The capacity is not high, and it's a highly volatile area. And it's overall, in my opinion, just not as important as all the other muscle groups. So it's a lot easier to put arms on interval day. But again, totally not on purpose. It's just a lot of times how the schedule falls. So back day right here, or interval day. I'm going to lead with interval day. I made an entire 15-minute video on interval day. It's online somewhere in YouTube. If you really want to dive deep into the nitty gritty, the whole purpose of interval day, that's the video to watch. I will say this though. Interval day is incredible. It's every 4 weeks here currently. When this video is made and posted, it's every 4 weeks. It was just recently every 6 weeks. In a perfect world, I believe I would have this every 2 weeks. But again, we are group fitness. There's a lot of gray area. And again, what we do at Core 4 quite literally isn't replicated anywhere still. So we have been kind of innovating and trailblazing this type of structure, these type of programming, really refining. And I think if you're watching these videos, you're going to start getting more idea of like, wow, I think there's a lot more that goes into this than I've ever realized. I hope that's the case at least. I put a lot of time into these. And again, I can even pull up some workouts from like the past, and you guys might be able to see the evolution of the workouts in Core 4 over the last 4 years and how we've gotten more and more efficient and figure out ways to attack things and prioritize things. Just a lot more, a lot better than we used to is the best thing I can think of right now. But anyways, interval day, every 4 weeks under the assumption you commit to interval day, which is the whole point. I'm pretty big on, and our trainers know this, if you're going to do interval day, should be something you are committing to doing for X amount of months. It's hard to put an exact time on that or a timestamp on that because everybody's of different capabilities, right? So depending on where you are physically at the time of start or time of origin, is going to kind of dictate how long this is going to take. So I'm a big proponent of interval day. I believe building an aerobic capacity floor is incredibly important in terms of your longevity, but also in terms of how it translates into everything else that we do and want our bodies to do. So again, every 2 weeks would be great. Every 4 weeks is fine. It's something you definitely need to track. And keep in mind, if you are going to choose to do interval day, you can get more guidance in class, obviously. But something you should be committing to in your head for the foreseeable future as you move forward, especially if you want to see the results that you hopefully are expecting to see. Interval day is always paired with this on the whiteboard. So anytime you guys come into interval day, you should see this. Anybody that's been with us for a couple of years, this is always on the whiteboard. Another stability, balance, single leg stuff, just stuff for your nervous system, for your joints, that I find incredibly invaluable, priceless, really. I try so hard on interval day to get people that finish interval day to actually participate in this. I know a lot of people finish interval day, they're totally gassed and they just want to walk out. you guys, when you come in interval day, whether you do it this time or in the future, and you see this on the whiteboard, you do not need to do all 5 of these. Like, just pick 2 or 3 of the movements. Obviously, if you want to go through all 5 of them, great. But just picking 2 or 3 of these movements and going through 2 or 3 sets on each leg would go a very long way. Like, you don't need to do this stuff. You don't need to hammer it home every single day or week in and week out. But doing it every now and then, occasionally, when we're not already doing it in classes, again, it can go a long way. Just to a lot of physiological stuff and benefits, meaning like muscle spindles, the GTOs, things that are going to, in the long run, truly benefit you. And the example I use in class all the time is, you're walking down your stairs, you miss a step. It happens to all of us, right? You miss a curb, you didn't see it, you trip and fall, you fall over your dog, whatever it is. Things like that, our joints and falling tend to take falling is what causes the majority of injuries. So strengthening our joints, giving ourselves more proprioceptively rich environment, meaning more unstable environment to train in when it's like under control, is going to situate us when it's not in our control to hopefully counter whatever it is that happens in the best way possible. So if that means tripping, maybe you catch yourself, maybe you fall on your arm, maybe you have enough joint strength and stability to, again, not slam on the ground, yada, yada, yada. The point is doing this every now and then will go a very long way into training you for quite literally, like, and I hate this word, functionality of life. So again, it fits really well with interval day in the sense that you always finish a little bit early. You always have, 3, 7, 9 minutes left. You can do this very well, and it doesn't require a ton of energy to do it and do it well, which is why it is always on interval day, which people have asked in the past. If you choose not to do interval day, you're going to do back day. And again, I'm just going to kind of nitpick some of these workouts as we go and give you guys kind of like the layout and the thought process as to why things are where they are. And hopefully over time, if those of you that are watching and tune into these, you can start kind of seeing and understanding on your own, like when you see the workouts, the day of, why certain things are where they are. Maybe start approaching things a little bit differently. Start understanding, certain exercises paired together, certain muscles that need to activate, why maybe we're, the death march is down here instead of up here. Why do we always do pull-ups at the top and not at the bottom? Things like that. And hopefully, again, with time, you guys can quite literally understand the programming yourself. So I'm not saying you can write it yourselves, but you can totally understand it. So that's my goal. So back day, again, under the assumption you're not doing interval day, you guys are going to start with 3 minutes each of the active hang, dead hang, to active hang, and the dead hang. You guys, if you've been here for a while, you have seen this before. For those of you that maybe haven't done this before, you're going to see it again. This is truly just teaching your body neuromuscular efficiency. So it's not only working on your grip strength, right? That tends to be the hardest part for really anybody, which again is a priceless skill to have. Your ability to hold your own body weight goes a long way, but that's not a conversation for now. But again, active hang, dead hang to an active hang, and a dead hang. All 3 of those are progression. So an active hang, again, is you getting into the situation where you retract your shoulder blades, you get into the right position to pull or do a pull up with the appropriate muscles on the way up. Whereas if you never teach your body how to do that, most likely you're going to end up compensating or taking shortcuts, and things are going to get kind of out of whack on the pull-up bar. So teaching you guys or giving you an opportunity not only to warm up, but to also teach your bodies how to do something kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. The dead hang to an active hang is a little bit of a progression there, right? So we're going from one position to another position while we're hanging. So this is going to teach you how to go from like a full standstill and full lengthening where nothing is engaged to into that active position, which is step 1 to step 2 on a pull-up. And once again, same concept, like teaching you how to do that appropriately, engage and retract the right muscles, your shoulder blades, will go a long way into increasing your efficiency down the road. And then the dead hang is there literally just for grip strength purposes. So anytime you can kind of squeeze in something like grip strength, it's a skill that you do need to improve on. It's going to raise your floor in terms of your potential. It's nice to just fit it in there. And again, you're already on the bar, so why not do it a little bit more? So you just spent, in theory, 9 minutes on the pull-up bar, 3 minutes apiece. Obviously, it's not a full 3 minutes, but 9 minutes. So your grip strength is already going to be pretty taxed in general. You go to the pull-ups, nobody will ever say anything, but the pull-ups, you guys probably notice a lot of times are 5 to 10 sets, giving you that opportunity to increase your volume and increase your repetition. And just ultimately add more load, which will also then, down the road make your life easier to, of course, do more reps or do less reps easier. But in this scenario, given you already spent 9 minutes on the pull-up bar, I limited you to 5 sets. I do not believe anything less than 5 sets, we can maybe get away with 4 sets. It's going to be ultimately super beneficial in our setting. So a lot of times, you guys keep in mind the caveat is we are still group fitness. So it's not one-on-one. It's never going to be perfect. But we, over the years, I've figured out, I think, pretty well what works best for most parts in this setting. So 5 sets, by the time people figure out what their first set's going to be, they play with the bands and maybe miss a set or, get, busy talking and miss a recovery or something. 5 sets just seems to be very good place to hang out. So 5 sets, 1 minute time of recovery, pretty standard. Your goal is to do 5 to 10 set reps unbroken. And again, this is a building block. Like, you should be tracking this for the foreseeable future, if not forever. If you're somebody that cares about progression or just kind of, getting an idea relatively of where you stand at any given time, you want to be able to know, like, I know I can do 5 sets of 8 pull-ups with no bands with a 1 minute break. That is a good thing to know, right? At the day it comes that I want to get better at pull-ups, I know exactly where I need to start. I can do 5 sets of 8 with no bands. Question is, if I were to ask whoever's watching this, do you know what your 5 sets of whatever is, with or without bands? Most people tend to say no. They don't know that. So you guys see this. This is never going to go away on any of our primary lifts, similar to the low row we're about to go over. Track it, pay attention to it, refine your bands, get a better understanding of how many repetitions and sets you can handle given whatever time of recovery is listed, which in this scenario is a minute. The dumbbell low row, another big boy movement or a primary movement. Again, where it falls, you're not going to be at tip-top strength, right? You've depleted a lot of your ATB. You've used a lot of your grip strength. Your back is pretty fatigued at this point, including your biceps from all the pull-ups and the hanging. Not a good place to do, 8 reps and 10 reps. Like, asking you to move as much weight as you physically can at those rep counts doesn't make a lot of sense, given how tired you probably already are from everything above. So what I did, and still giving you guys the opportunity to move external load, which is what a low row allows you to do, is I just lowered the set count, so dropped it to 3 to 4 instead of giving you the option of 5, and put the rep count up to 12 with a pause. So now we're just working on not necessarily moving as much weight as we can, but we're working on control, working on line of motion, and we're working on teaching your body how to activate or fire the appropriate muscles in the best, environment possible. So 12 reps, increasing the volume. You guys should get the lactic burn still in your biceps and in your lats. Teaching yourself how to fully contract at the top of it. That pause is going to show some level of stability. Is where we do a regular 8 to 12 reps with as much weight as possible. There is no control at the top of it. A lot of people will never get to a full contraction because you just don't have to when you're doing that. Plus the weight's so heavy, you don't have enough shoulder girdle strength or bicep or lat strength to actually stabilize that weight at the top. So again, with a pause and with 12 reps is going to force you to go down and weight a little bit, and you're going to work on line of motion and muscle activation at a much higher level. At least that's the goal. Again, group fitness, so anything can happen sometimes, which is half the fun of our environment, which keeps it interesting every single day, as you get to see new stuff every day. You could ask any of the trainers. Again, 12 reps with a pause, different approach than you would see 8 reps, 8 to 12 reps at max weight with no pause, right? That's just because of where it fell in this workout. Following that, you got the death march. A death march, a lot of people associate with just a leg movement. Although it is basically a moving RDL. An RDL and a deadlift is a lot of back. Like, your back stabilizes the entire movement. Now, it does stay stationary. We have enough space in the new gym where you guys could actually, do a shuttle or a rack to rower and back if you wanted to. 8 reps isn't like a ridiculous amount, and they're not big steps. You're not traveling very far either way, but it will put more pressure on your joints and on your back, which is what we're talking about here. If you actually did walk, which is what a death march is supposed to be. You are supposed to travel forward when you do it, not backwards, by the way. So if you do go rack to rower, make sure you turn around and walk forward. The whole point is to put an emphasis on your back. So again, pushing your shoulders down, engaging your lats. That's what stabilizes your entire trunk, right? Your lats connect your rib cage to your shoulder girdle. massive piece of muscle tissue and fascia right there. And if you guys can learn to control that and control your trunk, not only are you much safer, of course, moving bigger weights, but it also increases your ceiling, right? Once you learn how to control all these supplementary muscles and a lot of these bigger movements, your ability to grab more weight and move more load continues to increase, which is kind of the entire point. So the death march, although again, a lot of you guys are like, my hamstrings, like that's not why it's in here. Like it's in here because again, while you're moving, again, stationary or not, while you're moving, again, you should have a lot of emphasis on your back, which isn't like your back actively doing work via rep counts and in and out of lengthening and extension, but it's instability. And it's going to be taxed because it's stabilizing your trunk, at least it should be, the entire time. Through the entire 16 reps, it should be engaged, contracted, and stabilizing. So a different approach, more of a lactic type of situation here, because again, when you lose your back, you lose the control of your lats. It's typically when a little red flag should go off, like, uh-oh, I need to reset, rebreathe, re-engage, and then continue forward on my 16 reps. So anyways, death march, back day, leg day, great. Either one, fantastic. We can change the emphasis in our head if we want to. And then you guys, at this point, if you didn't already know, I say this pretty frequently in classes. Like I am a big proponent of, I truly believe in always doing a piece of conditioning, always a strong. Most of the time, it is really nice to have a piece of conditioning. Now, that being said, I work out 6 days a week. I work out Monday to Saturday religiously. I've been doing it quite literally my entire adult life. I don't really miss days. So, but again, we're in group fitness and there is a gray area, meaning like there are days where I won't do conditioning, right? But like I know I'm going to work out 6 days a week. I don't know. A lot of people come in 3 or 4 times a week. If that's you, I want to make sure you're getting a piece of conditioning. So in studio, the majority of the time, you can almost always bank on when you see a block like this that is all lifting. You can probably be like, all right, the next block is going to be a piece of conditioning. And what do you know? It is. Which again isn't bad, right? But you guys see Metcons, they tend to range anywhere from like 8 to 20 minutes, 20. I've gone as far as like 24 minutes, but upwards of 20 to 24 minutes, like that's a long Metcon. These ones I'm looking for, depending on how it's listed, a whole array of things. In this particular setting, the row into the ski erg. So the row is, again, back stability. Think of it as like a death march. It's more of like back stability, keeping your trunk engaged, protecting you from pulling with your back and hurting yourself. Not a ton of actual effort is needed from that particular set of muscles. But when you get off and you transition to the ski erg, your lower body should be fatigued from the row a little bit, depending on how hard you try, of course. And now you have to transition into something that is very back intensive, right? So your back is already fatigued from everything we did in this block. You now have to transition. Your legs are going to be a little bit fatigued or pre-exhausted. We'll go into the ski erg. Now we're going to require all upper body. Your back, again, should burn out very quickly given what we did in this block right here. And again, this will force you, hopefully, to pay attention not only just to the transition and how that feels, but also like how quickly does your back, start to burn up or fizzle up here. It's only 150 meters, but I would imagine given everything you've done, this should happen pretty fast on the ski erg. And you guys can start setting like thresholds and markers as like, all right, I did 150 meters following all this lifting. Like I burned out like pretty quickly. Or, I did 150 meters following a 200 meter row and all of this. And like, honestly, my back felt pretty good. Does that mean I'm not engaging my back, or is my back pretty well conditioned, right? Maybe I can handle longer ski ergs even on days like this, which means on days not like this, I can handle really long ski ergs, right? Again, just things to think about. Fruit of the labor, fruit of thought. Following that, you're going to move into the ball clean to the shoulder. Tons of back work here. Again, anything off the ground requires your back usually to go on some level of flexion, which again is forcing you to stabilize. Use your trunk to stabilize to get it safely up and off the ground. A clean, you should be in theory a little bit more vertical than you would be with like flexion in your back. But that being said, you get tired, you start to fatigue, maybe you grabbed a little bit too much weight for the certain situation, then you get that flexion in your back. If your back isn't strong enough to stabilize that weight, that's where people start feel things fairly uncomfortable, or that what's the motion I'm thinking? A shearing motion on their back from the load being down here and your back being flexed. Obviously not ideal, but if your back is strong enough to handle it, you'll be okay. But it's not something we want to like get in the habit of doing all the time. But what it's going to bring to the attention is coming off the ski erg and doing everything we already did on here, your back's going to be fatigued. So it's going to force you to rely on your legs a little bit and really just use your back to stabilize your trunk while your legs do the majority of the work on the clean. The shoulder, which a lot of people get confused with, ground to shoulder is where you guys go up and over your shoulder. It requires no level of stability, right? When you do a clean to shoulder, it requires you to stabilize it on your shoulder. It's like that little extra thorn in the butt. All right, so it forces you to stabilize and forces you with whatever load you use to fully stabilize vertically with it on your shoulder. So a little bit more advanced than a ground to shoulder. Usually you won't see these rep counts anywhere near as high because the anticipation is you should be going up in weight a little bit because you do get to stabilize at the top, catch your breath, reset every single rep. It's not like the ground to shoulder where you're just blistering through a bunch of reps. Following that, you'll go into the ball carry. You can notice here, back, back, back. Now again, none of these are like pull-ups or low rows or pullovers where we're just hammering your back and isolating it as much as possible. All of these are very supplemental movements. So ball carry is going to be at your chest. And of course, just by doing this and bear hugging somebody, you're going to realize how engaged your entire back is. Literally everything fully engages. That's the whole point. Like, it is teaching you guys to stay engaged for an extended period of time, whereas a lot of people are going to look at these and be like, leg day, leg day, leg day, when that's not the case at all, right? Your legs there. Anytime you guys move, your legs are activated and engaged. There's like nothing you can do about it. But in this situation, we're finding ways to fully exhaust your back after doing all this more isolated lifting stuff. So again, the ball carry is going to be really fun. The 4 shuttles, you've probably seen this verbiage thrown around a little bit recently, but the shuttle is just rack to rower and back, but it's a lot easier to write shuttle. And technically it is a shuttle. So you guys will grab a ball, go rack to rower and back as one shuttle. You'll do 4 shuttles back and forth. On the Metcon being 12 minutes, you'll notice there's no recovery listed. All right. And again, things I've said in class, so some of you guys this might sound familiar to you, but if there is no recovery listed, the goal is for you to go 12 minutes pretty much unbroken, like nonstop. That's the idea in mind. It is pacing, it is conditioning, it is your ability to, based off of your own capabilities, be able to pace yourselves out, adjust it on the fly. Maybe you came out too hot, you need to dial back. Maybe you went out too slow, you can start to pick it up. But regardless, you're not finding yourself taking any amount of time off during that 12 minutes, right? It's only 12 minutes. That is not a long period of time. We want the ability to move rather fluidly in that 12-minute span. So no rest there. You guys will see these in the future where there is rest, where the expectation is that we increase output, increase intensity, and we lean on that time of recovery, whatever it may happen to be. So hopefully that answered a lot of your questions. I know I go kind of erratic there sometimes, but again, that's kind of the point of these, for you guys just kind of hear my thought process on all this stuff, and hopefully you guys can get a better idea as to why we do what we do. So if you guys got any questions, put them in the comment section. It'd be really helpful. I hope we get some engagement with this. Ask any questions about working out. I'll try my best to answer them. It might also lead to an idea of different training videos in the future. And as always, for those of you that know, I'm erratic when it comes to talking. I'll try to clean these up over time. My throat's like really dry. I'll try to clean these up over time and make them as efficient as possible. And again, comments will be helpful for that. So anyways, enjoy April 2nd.